Hello, lab experts. Welcome to Diagnostics, the channel where we give you tools, tips on how to be more effective and less stressed biomedical scientists. And every once in a while, we have a video such as this where we talk about a disease. What we're going to be talking about today is sickle cell anemia. In our last bonus video, we also talked about sickle cell anemia. I'll link to it here. In the last video, we talked about what sickle cell anemia is and also what it means if you are AS to marry another person that is AS and why that may be a bad idea. Well, in case it was too long, you didn't watch, I'm still going to give you a quick summary. If you're AS, what we said the last time is you shouldn't marry someone who is AS or have children with them, because at the end of the day, you have the risk, if you have 4 children, of having at least one of those 4 children who is going to be SS. That's going to lead to a lot of debilitating symptoms that we'll discuss in this particular video. So keep watching if you want to know about the symptoms that those who are SS have. But first, let's talk about what it means to be AS. When you are AS, what it means is that you have hemoglobin A and you have hemoglobin S, and they make up about 50% each of the hemoglobin in your system. Now, when hemoglobin S is imbalanced, in the sense that there is too much hemoglobin S, let's say greater than 55%, then that's where you start suffering from the symptoms of sickle cell anemia. What are those symptoms? We'll come to that. But before we get to that, let's talk about the reason why those symptoms even exist. Let's see what a normal red blood cell looks like. A normal red blood cell has this shape. It's circular. Usually they are flexible so that they can pass through our blood vessels, which are very tiny. So they need to squeeze sometimes into those blood vessels. Now, one thing too is that red blood cells live for about 120 days. But when someone has sickle cell anemia, it turns out that their red blood cells survive for about 12 days. I mean, you've gone from 4 months to about less than 2 weeks. It's a very, very big difference. So sickle-shaped cells survive for a very short period of time. They look like actually French croissant, but they're not as delicious. In fact, they're far from delicious. And they can be very, very dangerous. Why? Because of this. Here we have an image where we are shown blood vessels. So we see one blood vessel here, one here, and then tissues all around. The role of red blood cells is to hold hemoglobin, which carries oxygen, that this oxygen can be taken to different tissues in our body, to different organs. So the oxygen can then be used to produce the energy that's going to allow us to survive, that's going to allow those organs to thrive. When someone has normal red blood cells, oops, this is a bit harder. Okay, when someone has red blood cells, you can see normal red blood cells here. They're flowing very normally through this channel. But when someone has sickle-shaped cells, you can see right about here that these cells are adhering to each other. They're sticking to each other. They're blocking the way here so that the cells, the normal cells, actually can't get in, and they are stuck, which means that hemoglobin and then the normal cells cannot pass through. These cells here cannot get enough oxygen. As a result, they start dying. And the death and also the speed at which the red blood cells die are the main reasons for all the symptoms we're going to be talking about that are related to sickle cell anemia. Now, what are those symptoms? The name is sickle cell anemia. One of the main symptoms is anemia. That's because the red blood cells are dying too fast. Instead of 4 months, they're taking about 2 weeks to die. So the same cells that would have sustained the organs and the tissues in your body are not able to live as long. Your bone marrow, which produces red blood cells, is not able to produce new red blood cells fast enough. And so your levels of hemoglobin are dropping, which of course is a bad thing. And it leads to our second symptom, which is tiredness. Like I said also a little earlier, oxygen is responsible for helping our bodies produce energy. Without enough oxygen, you can't produce enough energy. And so, of course, you're going to feel tired. Another problem of not getting enough oxygen is that patients suffer from pain crisis. How is that related to not having enough oxygen? It's actually really simple. If you don't get enough oxygen to your organs, those organs and those tissues eventually start dying. Dying tissue is going to cause your body to send signals to tell you that something is wrong. That's the pain that people that have sickle cell feel. Usually it's very debilitating pain, can last for days. In some cases, can last for hours. Imagine your child having this and not being able to sleep through the night. That's what some people actually face, and that's why you shouldn't marry anyone who is AS. If you are also AS, you're essentially preventing someone, a child, from suffering. Now, another frequent problem is frequent infections. Why? Same as before, because you're having blockages in your bloodstream, and at the same time you're having a lower number of cells in your bloodstream. That's going to lead to a situation where, as a result of, for example, oxygen not being spread out to different parts of the body, you don't have enough energy. Your immune system is not able to work as well. Since your immune system is not able to work as well, it can't defend you, and so you're more likely, if you have sickle cell anemia, to fall prey to different kinds of diseases. And finally, you also have bone infarcts. Think of it this way. Think of it as a situation that would lead, a condition that would lead to you having pain inside of your bones. If the pain is outside, let's say it's in tissue that you can touch, well, you can massage that to try and see if it helps. You can put some different kinds of balms to see if it helps. But if the pain is in your bones, how do you get rid of such pain? That's why sickle cell is such a debilitating disease. And I really wish it's on no one, and you shouldn't either. How do you make sure you don't inflict that on anyone? Always get tested to ensure to know your status as far as hemoglobin goes. And in the next video, what we're going to be doing is talking about that. Once it's done, I'm going to link to it here. So in the meantime, if you've learned anything from this video, make sure you share, especially if it's with people of African descent, because we're more susceptible to this disease. Share as much as you can so that as many people know about sickle cell anemia. And then watch the next video to also know about how you can get tested for sickle cell anemia.